I was blindsided when my wife cheated with her boss, so I exposed them both and took back my life. I mean, it's like a broken record, right? A million men out there were utterly caught off guard, saying life was fantastic until it wasn't, and I'm no exception. I thought everything was fine until it all went wrong. I'm Blake Ramsey. At 31, life seemed pleasant and satisfying. Things were going well, particularly with my position at Space Conquest, a division of a major aerospace company. We were working on a major project to build a next-generation manned spacecraft that would look like an airliner when it landed and would only carry passengers. My responsibilities included building the escape system and ensuring that each crew member had their own capsule to evacuate in case of an emergency. A space engineer's dream had come true. My wife Tracy and I were married for 7 years and had 3 children, Tyler, 7, and twin daughters, Elizabeth and Emily, 6. Family was my top priority, balancing work and quality time. Our parents lived nearby and enjoyed indulging their grandchildren. Tracy's sister Lucy was also close. We lived in a friendly neighborhood in a 4-bedroom house with plans to convert the basement into additional space as the kids grew. Tracy and I met in college, fell in love, and married shortly thereafter. I studied aerospace engineering while Tracy worked as a legal assistant. She quit her job after Tyler was born but returned after the twins were born. Tracy's behavior changed once the girls entered school, indicating difficulties in our relationship that I had overlooked. Before everything went wrong, I met Tracy's employer, Stanley, at a couple of social gatherings, including the office Christmas party. I didn't like him. He came across as arrogant and unpleasant, and I didn't trust him at all. Whenever I visited Tracy at work, Cross appeared possessive and unwilling to let her go. I kept an eye out for any signs of romance between them, but I saw nothing at the time. Things fell apart when the twins graduated kindergarten. After being dropped off at my parents' house for the weekend, I hoped for some quality time alone with Tracy to work on our relationship. When I arrived home, she was dressed to the nines, looking stunning in a short black dress, high heels, and flawless makeup. "Wow, you look beautiful, babe," I said. "If you'd told me we were going out, I'd have rushed home. Let me freshen up and change, and I'll be ready to go. So, where are we heading?" Tracy smirked, which was not a good sign. "Well, we're not going anywhere together, but I'm stepping out. Just not with you," she said. I was stunned. "Wait, what do you mean?" I asked. "I have a date with my employer, Stanley, and this is only the beginning. There will be some new rules in effect starting now. Stan's picking me up for a night out, so I won't be home tonight or tomorrow. We have a room downtown. I'll be returning Sunday afternoon," she explained. "What the hell are you talking about?" I shouted. "You need to relax and accept it. This is how it will be. I'm heading out, but I'll return Sunday afternoon," she replied. "If you walk out the door, don't even bother coming back," I warned. "No, Blake, I will be back. We're still married, and I still come home, but you have to understand I need more. If you make this difficult, you'll be the one who leaves. It would be a shame for our children to see their father broke and in jail. Now sit down and let me tell you about the changes. Let's do it the simple way before Stan arrives in about 30 minutes. You won't be pleased if he has to explain," she said. "If that asshole shows up here in 30 minutes, he'll leave with a broken nose," I retorted. "Don't do that, Blake," Tracy spoke firmly. "For 2 reasons. First, you should know what he can do if you don't cooperate. Second, he'll have Max with him. Max is his bodyguard, and you don't want to mess with him. Touch Stan, and you'll wind up in the hospital." I hadn't felt this thrill since I was a Marine in the Middle East. At first, I couldn't pinpoint it, but then it struck me. I was being ambushed, with my wife on one side and Stanley poised to enter the fray. I was trapped in the center. They had the upper hand due to their pre-planning and surprise, and I didn't know how to defend myself. I brushed past Tracy and went upstairs. "Where are you going?" Tracy demanded. "We need to talk. I'm going to freshen up quickly. I'll be down in 5, I replied. During my time in the Middle East, I was ambushed 3 times. I had some guidelines for dealing with ambushes. First, try to spot it before getting captured, but with Tracy and Stanley, I didn't expect it. Second, find cover quickly. That's why I was heading straight toward my bedroom. The third rule, create an escape strategy for yourself and your team. I needed a plan. I changed from my suit to something more casual, then set my iPhone to record and put it in my pocket. Next, I went to my wardrobe and searched through my old footlocker. On top, a key was taped to the back. I opened it, and memories surged back when I saw my old uniforms. I found I could still fit into them 5 years later. Under the uniforms, I discovered a stack of filing folders and a box containing my medals and prizes for service over 2 tours in the Middle East. I quickly glanced at the medals, but they weren't what I was looking for. I found what I was seeking beneath them, my Marine Corps Beretta 9mm Betsy. It was stored in a cloth-lined plastic pouch with 2 bullet clips. Technically, I wasn't supposed to have my pistol, but due to a mix-up when I left the service, they let me keep it. This tool meant a great deal to me. It had saved my life more times than I could count during warfare. As I was loading a clip, Tracy called from downstairs. "Blake, get down here quickly or you'll regret it. I'll be right down. Can you get me a beer?" I called back. I tucked the tool into my belt toward the small of my back and covered it with my shirt. It was a double-action semi-automatic pistol, so all I had to do was pull the trigger to fire. Unless someone was looking, they wouldn't notice it. Before leaving the bedroom, I took out my phone, began filming, and then put it back into my pocket, the camera peeking out. I wanted to know exactly what Tracy and her employer had planned for me, so I decided to employ some of the interrogation techniques I'd learned in the Marine Corps. I intended to remain cool and urge Tracy to discuss how she saw things. When I entered the living room, Tracy was sitting at the table with a glass of wine in front of her and a beer waiting for me. "It's about time," she stated angrily. "We have some things to do before Stan arrives." "Tracy, I see you have something on your mind," I said. "Tell me about the new circumstances I'm required to accept. First and foremost, remember that I adore you above all else. We have a family together, and I want to grow old beside you." "I sincerely don't want to hurt you, honey," she began, but I interrupted. "Tracy, no more sweet words. I'm not your honey or sweetheart. Please call me Blake, and I'll call you Tracy." Tracy, she appeared offended by my lack of affection but persisted. "Look, I don't want to harm you, but things have changed as of tonight, and you must accept them, or else. Stan and I have been very close since he made me his personal assistant. I mean, we're having an affair. It's been going on for over 7 months now. He started flirting with me shortly after I returned to work as a secretary. When he elevated me to executive secretary, we began drinking coffee together during our breaks. We began spending more time together, and his flirting evolved into seduction. It was flattering to have such a powerful man interested in me. One evening after work, he made his move in his office. He grabbed me, kissed my neck, and the situation progressed from there. He's attractive, pleasant, and fit. It was difficult to resist. We ended up on his couch, and he was an experienced lover. I enjoyed it so much that I didn't want to quit. "So, you didn't consider the consequences of being unfaithful to me?" I said. "I'm sorry, Blake, but I did. However, this doesn't mean I don't love you. You're still the man I want to be with forever," she replied. I sipped my beer and muttered, "Good luck making that happen." "Tell me, Tracy," I pressed on, "why after 7 months of hiding around are you suddenly coming clean? You could have kept it going indefinitely right under my nose." "Until now, Blake, we've been keeping things under wraps, meeting in Stan's office, limo, and daytime hotel rooms, but we're tired of the secrecy. We want to be transparent about our relationship. This includes spending evenings together, going out in public, and traveling as a couple. However, we need you to support our way of life," she explained. I took another sip of my beer and said, "Well, good luck with that." "No, Blake." Tracy leaned close and tried to hold my hands. "We aren't getting divorced. We're staying married. You simply have to accept that Stan and I will spend a lot of time together. I'll be staying with him overnight a few times a week. We'll take weekend getaways, and I may even accompany him on longer travels to Europe or the Caribbean. As his personal assistant, I'll get to travel with him, meet important people, and accompany him to business meetings and social functions. Stan pays me nicely. It'll be beneficial for us. Think about the perks, assume the vacations, the kids' college funding, and finally finishing up the lake cabin like we've always wanted." I shot back. "Do you honestly think I'd want any of that paid for through Stanley's company?" "I'm not 43, Tracy snapped back, her voice filled with rage. "I'm a key member of the company. Stan relies on me to operate his legal practice. Closeness is simply one aspect of the deal when you're with a powerful man like him. I'm honored that he would choose me as his mistress. You should be too. And let's be honest, this fling is unlikely to last forever. I'd estimate it'll run its course in 2 or 3 years. Then everything will return to its previous state. I'll be your loving wife again, and I'll enjoy our family for the next 50 years. So, here's the thing, Stan wants to be friends with you. He believes we can share me so long as he gets what he wants and you follow his rules. He knows I still love you and want to be intimate with you. He even suggested you have your moments with me. There'll just be a few conditions because he'll be visiting our home sometimes. He wishes to be a member of the family, maybe even like an uncle to our children." Internally, I was boiling with rage, but I maintained my cool externally, vowing that asshole would never look at or speak to my children ever. "I get it," I said. Then it hit me. "Why does that asshole want to be engaged with my family? Doesn't he have his own?" Tracy revealed that Stan's married to a younger woman from a wealthy family, but their marriage is primarily about convenience. Unfortunately, she can't have children. "Perhaps he should adopt and stay out of other people's lives," I suggested. "Stan wants his own children, particularly a son to carry on his legacy," Tracy said. "He'd also settle for a daughter. Ideally, he wants one of each. Why isn't that asshole using a surrogate then? He could have as many kids as he wanted, I suggested. He's thought about it, but he's concerned he won't be a good father. He wants any child to grow up in a caring family, Tracy explained. Tracy then looked down. God, here we go, I said. Tracy's purpose is to make you feel even more furious. Hit me. Then it struck me. He wants to make you pregnant, doesn't he? And then he wants me to raise his child. It wouldn't be his child alone, Tracy insisted. It'd be mine too, and you'd enjoy it because you adore me. The child's last name would be Cross. Stan would pay us a lot of money to raise his child and cover all their bills until they graduated from college. Christ, are you already expecting? I blurted out. No, she responded. However, he wants me to quit taking the medication in a few months. I told him I wanted you to agree to our new arrangement first. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I whispered to myself once more. Good luck with it. Tracy was angry. Stop saying that, she snapped. Blake, I know you're not on board right now, but maybe you'll come around. Her words struck me hard as I rose to confront her. The doorbell rang. Tracy hastened to respond, inviting her lawyer in. As he entered, he grabbed her waist and kissed her. This keeps getting better, I murmured to myself. How did he respond? Cross inquired of Tracy. Not good. You might need to spell out the consequences if he doesn't cooperate, she said. I overheard him say, then we'll proceed to plan B, shock and awe. Stan was a huge man, taller and heavier than me at 5 feet 11 inches. I couldn't understand what Tracy saw in him. Perhaps his long graying hair gave him a distinguished appearance. He appeared confident in his black suit and had a strong presence. He stepped right up to me and invaded my personal space. Mr. Ramsey, we need to discuss, he explained. Talk? I'll kill you, I shot back. You could try, but my driver will definitely stop you before you get too far. By nightfall, you'd be in jail. So sit down, he ordered. I looked out the door and saw a large man waiting at my doorway. I wasn't afraid, but I wanted to hear him out, so I grudgingly sat down. Good. Now we can chat like adults. Your wife's appointment as my personal assistant came with certain additional responsibilities. Yes, I'm talking about intimacy. I've been with your wife for 6 months now, but we're weary of sneaking around. You and Tracy will have a new arrangement. As my assistant, she'll take care of my professional and personal demands. Mr. Ramsey, you'll still be Tracy's spouse. Your position as a father won't change except for one item. I'll be looking after Tracy's requirements most of the time. This will occur at a hotel or my business, but sometimes, while you're not present, we may use your bed. Why should I put up with this? I'd rather divorce her for infidelity, I spat back. Mr. Ramsey, that type of discourse won't help. Remember who I am. I'm a prominent lawyer at the city's top legal firm. If you try to divorce her, you'll have to pay, and not only in court. We'll steal everything from you, make sure you pay alimony and child support while she's still with me. Your sons and daughters? You won't see them often, if at all. You'll be charged with a child-related offense, go to jail, and lose custody forever. You'll lose your job. Your family and friends will turn their backs on you, he threatened. I sat there in shock, speechless. I never expected Tracy and this asshole would go so far with their romance. Stan moved on. Now I know you're not going to do anything dumb you'll regret telling my wife. My driver and his cronies will make certain of that. If you try to flee town, my investigators will locate you. So simply accept the new offer. Your wife is an excellent assistant. He leaned forward. And she has a pretty good mouth, too. I turned to Tracy. Would you truly do that to me? I hope not, Blake, but if you cooperate, I won't have to. You'll eventually get used to it and think it's normal, she spoke quietly. Still reeling, I saw them walk out the door, but I had something to say to them first. Wait, I have something you should know. The jerk rolled his eyes, clearly annoyed. What is it? Make it snappy. I took a breath. I had a few drinks and lamented my marriage. I'm calling your wife to tell her everything. Turning to Tracy, I added, after that, I'm calling your sister Lucy to spill the beans, and I'll let her break the news to your parents. Stan appeared perplexed, not used to encountering resistance when attempting to strong-arm someone. What was that? He questioned. Without repeating myself, I left. Bright and early on Saturday, I hired a locksmith to change all the locks. Tracy was now paying close attention, attempting to understand the situation. After the locks are changed, I'm going to Kate's apartment down the street. She's been brazenly flirting with me since her husband died a few months ago. She's older than you and not a supermodel, but she's got an amazing physique. She even modeled a bikini for me once. Until an hour ago, I wouldn't have considered seeing anyone else. But things change. Tracy appeared hurt and stammered. Blake, you can't do that. I went on. When you return Sunday, you'll discover Tracy's belongings in the front yard. Every single part of it. Clothes, shoes, cosmetics, jewelry, and even the wedding book. And no, not in trash bags. Better hurry and pick them up before the sprinklers go off at 4 a.m. Monday. Stan's temper was rising. His face became scarlet, and his fists clenched as he realized his threats were meaningless. Tracy appeared pained. I added one more thing before wrapping up. On Monday, I'll meet with a divorce lawyer who'll file for divorce on the basis of cheating, identifying you, Stanley, as a co-conspirator. In addition, we plan to sue you for interfering with our marriage and your organization for violating corporate policies, assuming a large organization like yours has any. Even if the cases are unsuccessful, they'll damage your reputation. Stanley, the jerk, was furious. He tossed the overnight bag at the wall and marched toward me, invading my personal space once more. He stabbed my chest sharply with 2 fingers. I had to stop myself from punching back. "Listen, you idiot," he began. "You have no idea who you're messing with or how brutal I can be when I want to ruin someone. I'm Stanley Cross. I operate the area's largest law company. I could legally break you in no time. By the time Tracy and I walk into our hotel, you'll be handcuffed for a variety of offenses. You might believe you can fight back if you're innocent. You can't. I've been practicing law in this state for 30 years. I know the majority of the top cops personally, and I'm friends with several lawyers in the DA's office. Heck, I've even slept with some. The majority of the judges in this city either owe me a large favor or know I have dirt on them. Even politicians owe me since I helped them get elected in one way or another." Stanley was going on a rampage, and I didn't want to interrupt. "If you go out with your friend Kate tomorrow, the cops will stop you and search your car. They're probably going to find drugs. The Vice Squad will then receive a tip concerning offensive videos involving kids on your computer, and that's only the beginning. How long and expensive do you think it'll be to fight all of this? You won't find a lawyer brave enough to challenge me. You'll be ruined. Meanwhile, I'll still be with your wife. Got it? I believe whatever you say, jerk." Stanley turned to face me again. "You should show me some respect. Call me Sir or Mr. Cross. Call me an asshole one more time, and Max will teach you some manners." When he said this, he slapped me with his right hand to emphasize his point. The second time, I grabbed his hand with my left and snapped all his fingers backward, bringing them to his wrist, and held them there. Cross was caught off guard. For a moment, he appeared astonished, staring at his hand in amazement. Then the pain struck, and he let out a loud shout. I shoved him away, and he fell onto the couch. Tracy raced to his side to assist. He spread his fingers, clutched his flattened palm to his chest, and rocked back and forth in agony. "You're a cursed bastard. You're going to regret this. I'll make you pay," he shouted. When he remembered his security waiting outside, he yelled, "Max, get in here." Max entered through the front door, which swung open. He was enormous, resembling a tough guy from an old 1940s film, exuding strength. "Yes, Mr. Cross," Max acknowledged. Cross motioned to me with his unharmed hand and issued a command, "Take care of him, Max." "Yes, Mr. Cross," Max responded, strolling across the living room toward me. Tracy tried to object, but Cross shrugged it away. When Tracy mentioned that Cross would bring his bodyguard, I expected this type of encounter. I was aware I'd face some tough treatment. This was going to be difficult, though. Few people know I was a prisoner of war. It lasted only 17 days, but it was enough to earn me the Prisoner of War medal. During my captivity, I was the only American they could get their hands on, and they turned their wrath on me. But I learned something. I can withstand pain. The actual torture was hanging from a beam in my cell, my arms dragged painfully tight behind me. The suffering was awful and unending. So in comparison, taking a beating was easy. I stood firm, offering no opposition as Max swung his enormous hand. His hit landed squarely on my nose, sending me falling into the coffee table. Max was dazed and plainly damaged, and I could see him hesitating about continuing. He looked across for guidance. "Hurt him, Max. Hurt him severely," Cross ordered. Max grabbed me by the hair, lifted me up, and delivered another blow, this time to my left eye. I collapsed again, my vision blurring as I realized I couldn't go much further without losing consciousness. I said something to Max, "You hit like a chick." His pride bruised, Max gripped my hair again, ready for another strike. However, when I shot him in the foot, he was caught off guard. This stunned everyone in the room. Max recoiled in horror, stumbling backward until he fell into my favorite leather chair. Meanwhile, I collapsed to the ground. As Max groped for his own weapon, I warned him. "Don't do it, Max." When he disregarded my warning and reached for his weapon, I fired again. He dropped his instrument, screaming in agony. I crept over, disarmed him, and asked, "How many men have you killed, Max?" He felt the heat against his temple. Max shook his head, indicating he'd never killed anyone. I told him I'd killed 27 men, all soldiers fighting for their convictions. Then I asked, "How much respect do you think I have for you?" Max shook his head side to side once more. "That's correct, Max. None, I said. So there isn't much reason why I shouldn't kill you, is there? Max pleaded. I have a family. I replied. Well, Max, I have a family too, and you didn't seem to care about mine. Perhaps your family would be better off if you left. I noticed him begging. While looking over Max's shoulder, I shot him right in the shoulder. Damn, Max, you'll bleed out if I don't get you to a doctor within an hour or so. But don't worry, these orthopedic doctors can fix anything with their plastic and ceramic replacement bones. You might need to learn to use your left hand for certain tasks, like eating, writing, or shooting. However, you'll likely experience mobility limitations with that arm for the rest of your life. If you ever feel agony in that arm again, remember me. If I ever see you again, I'll presume you're trying to hurt me. I won't hesitate to finish you. Got it? Max nodded in understanding. I pushed his shoulder forward to examine the wound. Max winced in pain. Damn, Max, I mourned. The bullet went straight through your shoulder in my favorite chair. You're bleeding all over it. I'm not sure if I can clean it up or mend the hole. If I have to replace the chair, I'll be even more upset than I am now. Playing with Max for so long was a mistake. Leaving an adversary behind me was a greater deal. Tracy's warning brought me back to reality. Blake, be careful. I turned just in time to see Cross hurl a fireplace poker at my head. Luckily, my arm blocked the majority of the hit, but it shattered my forearm and knocked my weapon away. Cross lunged for it, but I punched him squarely in the groin. He collapsed to the ground in anguish. I took my 9mm and pinned him down. Open your mouth, I ordered. Cross declined to comply, tightening his lips and shaking his head in resistance. So, I struck hard, resulting in a deep cut on his lip. His mouth opened, and I pushed the weapon down his throat, making it difficult for him to breathe. How's that for my version of shock and awe? I mocked. If you heard what I told Max, you'd know I've officially killed 27 soldiers in combat. 7 of them were killed with this magnum. Before you start objecting, remember that this gadget only requires 4 ounces of pressure on the trigger, and I already have 2 ounces, I warned him. Cross was now struggling. Where's your cell phone? I demanded. Cross indicated it was in his left breast pocket. I retrieved it. Turn it on, I ordered. Using his fingerprint, the phone powered on. Now call your wife on FaceTime, I told Cross. His eyes widened as he complied. After a few rings, a woman answered. Stanley, why are you calling me at this hour? Who is this? The woman questioned, alarmed to see a red face. Didn't she recognize you, Mrs. Cross? I began. My name is Blake Ramsey. You may not recognize my name, but you're likely familiar with my wife, Tracy Ramsey. She serves as your husband's personal assistant. Mrs. Cross acknowledged. I know Tracy. What's happening? Why are you hurt, and where's my husband? Mrs. Cross, I'm holding your husband down with a weapon in his mouth, I revealed, angling the phone to show Cross's face. My God, she gasped. Please don't harm him. Listen, Mrs. Cross, time is short. Your husband and my wife have had an affair for several months. They planned to spend the weekend in a motel. When I resisted, your husband ordered his goons to beat me. Unfortunately, I had to shoot one, and now your husband is next, I informed her. My husband was supposed to be in Palm Springs working on a case, Mrs. Cross stated. Mrs. Cross, he's right here on my floor. Come meet my wife, Tracy. I showed her Tracy looking terrified on the sofa. As you can see, my wife is dressed up and ready for a night out with your husband, I pointed out. This is unbelievable, Mrs. Cross reacted. I was astonished too, I added. I've got to go, Mrs. Cross. The cops are on their way. Nice conversation. I ended the call. Back to you. Your wife has a hint now. What were your plans? Send Max and his cronies to rough me up? I questioned, looking at Max. Max needs some time off, I mentioned. I warned him. Send anyone, I'll kill them, then come for you. Cross nodded, and I withdrew the weapon. I suddenly smelled something awful. Did you shit yourself? I chuckled. I now need a new carpet. Tracy, pass me my briefcase, I requested. She handed it to me, and I brought out my laptop. Was this your stash? I asked, pointing to the laptop's hard drive. Cross was screaming and covering his ear, likely from a perforated eardrum. I leaned near his ear and muttered, Good luck with that computer now, asshole. I got off Cross and instructed him to sit on the couch. He obeyed, gripping his groin and ear. I told Tracy to get a wet cloth from the kitchen and aid Max with his injured shoulder. She ran to fetch it and returned promptly to help Max. After that, I told everyone to stay there while I went to clean up in the kitchen. My phone was still filming. I realized I needed to hide it to keep the cops from deleting the film because Cross had connections. I tucked it away in a drawer with a bunch of dish towels. I then wiped my face with a wet cloth. When I returned to the living room, everyone remained in place. Cross was experiencing agony, and Tracy was helping Max. I instructed them to wait for the cops, who would arrive soon with an ambulance. Outside, my neighbors had heard the noises. I confirmed it by asking if anyone had contacted 911. One of my neighbors was former Marine Colonel Orson Sage. We were close friends and frequently shared a beer. He spoke to me as Captain, while I addressed him as Colonel. "Are you all right, Captain?" the Colonel inquired. "I've seen better days," I said. Sirens blared in the distance, heralding the police's impending approach. "Colonel," I called, "can you help me?" "Sure thing, Captain," he said, stepping onto my doorstep. "First, can you help me unload these magnums and place them on the table? I don't want to be carrying one when the cops arrive." The Colonel snatched them and swiftly ensured their safety, then placed them on the patio table. Kate, a widowed neighbor from up the street, saw my injuries and came over to aid. I turned to the Colonel and Kate and said, "I wish I could explain everything, but time is short. My wife's boyfriend, a lawyer, threatened to frame me using drugs. I gave the Colonel my keys. After all this, if the garage isn't taped off, I'll hide my car. The garage code is our street address." "Got it, Captain," he responded. Kate interjected, "Blake, you look really rough." "My head's throbbing, and I feel dizzy," I admitted. I guess I took a harder hit than I expected. I was sitting on the front steps with Kate when 2 police cars arrived, lights flashing and sirens blaring. They approached warily, hands on their weapons, but the Colonel assured them there was no danger, pointing at the unloaded weapons on the porch. I told them about the 3 people inside. A police officer spotted my condition and commented, "Looks like you need some medical attention too." Soon, ambulances arrived, lights flashing and sirens blaring. Emergency personnel rushed to the porch as another officer notified them about the injured guy inside. As my disorientation intensified, Kate advised me to lie down while an EMT examined my face. I mentioned my possibly broken forearm. Later, in a blur, I noticed Max being brought out on a stretcher and Cross being assisted into an ambulance. Tracy, accompanied by a female officer, came to a halt nearby, sobbing and apologizing loudly, but I rejected her, telling her, "Go to hell, Tracy," before she was carried away. I either passed out or received pain relief, staying unconscious for 3 days. When I awoke, a nurse named Rose greeted me warmly. I was alone in the room. I inspected my injuries, which included a cast on my right forearm and gauze and tape covering my left eye and nose. Aside from that, I appeared fine, connected to various machines. Dr. York kept me sedated for a probable minor concussion, allowing me to sleep until the morning. I awoke to discover my left wrist chained to the bed rail. Detective Sergeant Harmon indicated that I was being arrested on multiple offenses, including assault and weapon use. He added that my wife and 2 others had filed a complaint. Rose verified her knowledge of the situation after he left. Dr. York assured me I'd heal and informed me I'd been transferred to a new ward. A few days later, Sam Wilton, a lawyer, came to see me and suggested I plead guilty to negotiate with the district attorney. I maintained my innocence and inquired about my children, who were with my wife's sister. I couldn't believe how quickly my life had changed. I was worried about my shattered marriage, my children, and my career. I gave Sam my company's contact information and asked him to alert my employer about the problem. After examining the charges against me, I inquired about the spousal assault charge indicated by Detective Sergeant Harmon. Sam clarified that Stanley Cross had included it in his complaint, which alleged multiple instances of assault against Tracy and was corroborated by photographic evidence of her injuries. Despite my denial of the claims, Sam advised we pursue a plea offer at the arraignment to perhaps reduce the severity of the charges. However, I expressed worry about admitting guilt, fearing civil ramifications from the witnesses involved in the looming court struggle. I asked Sam to contact my uncle, Jonathan Allen Carter, a retired Navy lawyer known for his skill in family law. I emphasized the importance of caution because I didn't want Sam and Uncle Jack to find out about my plans too soon. It was decided he'd offer legal aid. Sam informed me that Uncle Jack stressed the significance of keeping confidentiality about the case specifics. During the hospital TV arraignment, I pleaded not guilty to all charges. Despite the prosecution's request for no bail, the court decided to keep me in the hospital for 2 more days before conducting a hearing to determine if I'd stand trial. Uncle Jack visited me the day before I went to jail. He was now legally my lawyer and could visit me. Seeing him was a tremendous relief. I hugged him, feeling emotional. I hadn't realized how much help I needed until then. After catching up, Uncle Jack became serious. He wanted to speak with me alone and fill me in on certain information. He'd spoken briefly with Lucy and told me the kids were fine with her until things settled. Lucy was perplexed by Tracy's account of events and pleased Uncle Jack was there for me. Uncle Jack then inquired how I'd gotten into this mess. I told him everything that happened. He found it unbelievable. I also informed him about the story Stanley Cross, Max Angel, and Tracy had devised following my detention. In quiet tones, I told Uncle Jack I had everything on camera with my iPhone hidden at home. He didn't show any emotion. I was relieved, knowing there might be proof to back up my story. Uncle Jack pledged to help me through this experience. He suggested my primary focus should be on recovery while he worked on my case and investigated bail options. I agreed and asked him to keep an eye on my children. He pledged to stay in touch with Lucy. After leaving the hospital, I was hauled to jail. Uncle Jack remained silent for 3 days. Finally, I appeared before a judge with Uncle Jack there. He battled for my bail, but I was ultimately placed under house arrest. Uncle Jack arranged for me to stay in a gated neighborhood with him. However, I was unable to leave the area. Uncle Jack had plans in the works but kept most of them secret until they were carried out. He hired private detectives to assist him and assigned them to work on different leads. Retrieving my phone from my kitchen drawer was difficult because the restraining order prevented me from entering my home. Uncle Jack declined to break in, hoping a solution would emerge. In the interim, he set up a new cell phone account for both of us to communicate. I contacted my neighbor, the Colonel, to update him on my predicament. He informed me about activity at my house. Uncle Jack proposed the Colonel come over for drinks and barbecued steaks to discuss more. The Colonel described an incident he witnessed shortly after the altercation. He saw someone near my garage, contacted 911, and confronted them with an aluminum bat. Despite the threats, they departed in a black SUV. Their faces were recorded in a photograph. Shortly after, Tracy arrived home. The Colonel noticed her speaking with men near the garage, noting the SUV's license plate. Uncle Jack looked into the license plate, which was linked to Unique Services, a private investigation agency controlled by Jose Gonzalez and Miguel Ortega, both with questionable law enforcement credentials. Stanley Cross's law practice provided notable services among its clientele. It became vital to retrieve my cell phone from my kitchen. Uncle Jack devised a plan to meet with Tracy at 6 p.m. under the guise of mediation, accompanied by her lawyer's associate. Tracy embraced Uncle Jack cordially as he arrived, and Gordon Merritt from Cross's law office joined them. Following introductions, everyone gathered in the family room to discuss issues. Uncle Jack expressed regret and questioned my account of events while both were recording the talk. He described my accusation that Tracy and Mr. Cross were having an affair and how angry I was when I saw them together. Mr. Merritt interrupted, implying the evidence was stacked against me. Uncle Jack suggested Mr. Merritt testify that I may not have been in the proper frame of mind during the incident, given I thought Mr. Cross was taking Tracy away. He emphasized my previous positive behavior as a husband and father. After thinking about it, Mr. Merritt suggested they consider such a proposal if I pleaded guilty to the charges. Uncle Jack inquired, "Are you suggesting all the charges, or are there chances of some being reduced or dropped? I'll need to speak with Mr. Cross. He wields considerable power in the district attorney's office. Perhaps we can find a way to make this go away. It's not just for Mr. Ramsey's sake. Getting embroiled in a high-profile legal problem isn't good for Mr. Cross either. It harms his reputation in business." "That's all I have to say," Merritt replied. "Tracy, thank you for meeting with me. Blake wants you to inform the kids he misses and loves them," Uncle Jack added. Tracy appeared moved, and her eyes welled up with tears. Before Uncle Jack turned off his recorder, he added, "If I can prove Blake's story, you could face charges such as perjury and obstruction of justice, both of which carry jail time." Just as Gordon Merritt was about to speak, Uncle Jack turned to him. "And you, counselor, if I can prove you knew your client and Mr. Cross were lying, you could face legal penalties. Before you answer, talk about it with each other." Uncle Jack grabbed his recorder and stood up. "While you spoke, mind if I get some water?" "No, go ahead. The kitchen's that way." Tracy motioned toward the dining room entrance. "Ice water's in the refrigerator." Uncle Jack ensured he couldn't be spotted, then found my iPhone in a drawer near the sink. After pocketing it, he poured himself some cold water from the refrigerator. After a few minutes, he returned to the family room. "Tracy, do you have anything to add before I go?" Tracy looked anxiously at Gordon Merritt, who spoke for her. "We have nothing else to add at this time, Mr. Carter, and we'll keep you updated on any modifications to Mr. Ramsey's accusations. We anticipate your help if you wish to resolve this issue," Uncle Jack concluded. "That's fair enough. Thank you for meeting with me, Tracy, Mr. Merritt. I'll see you in court." Uncle Jack didn't bring the iPhone to the townhouse. Instead, he arranged for Digital Analysis Solutions DAs to investigate its contents. He informed the DA's director about the case's background and the significance of the video and audio recording to my defense. DAs assured Uncle Jack they'd treat it properly and promised to deliver an analysis a few days later. Uncle Jack and I went to the DA's office for their report. DAs moved everything from my iPhone to their server. They discovered the film and created multiple backups on DVDs, flash drives, and the cloud to ensure its safekeeping. Uncle Jack and I saw the video together for the first time. It documented all of Tracy and Cross's chats with me, however sections of the assault took place during Max's attack. It was evident I was defending myself. Some areas were visually confusing, but the audio gave a clear picture of what happened. Fortunately, it also showed Max pulling out his weapon against me. We believed the meeting was over, but the DA's director revealed my phone contained more than just images, contacts, emails, and texts. There were 97 new emails and 64 SMS messages I hadn't seen. They examined them without opening them, and the majority were legitimate from friends and relatives, but one was suspicious, containing 27 images of children. If I'd opened it, those photos would have ended up on my phone. After I destroyed my PC, I told Cross he couldn't plant such pictures there, so he attempted it on my phone. Uncle Jack and I thanked DOS for their assistance and left my phone with them. We took copies of the video home. Later, Uncle Jack became thoughtful. "What's on your mind, Uncle Jack?" I asked. "I'm thinking about our next move. We could show this to the district attorney now, and likely get the charges against you dropped. Plus, Cross, Max, and Tracy may face some heat. But if Cross has the pull we believe, the whole thing will vanish," he said. "What are our alternative options?" I wondered introspectively. Uncle Jack replied, "We could wait till the hearing. The prosecutor would likely call all the conspirators to testify, after which we could present our case. The prosecutor would have to pursue them for conspiracy, perjury, and other offenses. They'd be looking at some real jail time, and I'd have a chance to get my kids back." I reflected. "So, what's your call? We could end this fast or drag them through a protracted trial, implicating them all in a grand plot." "I'm all in on pulling them down," I decided without hesitation. "I was hoping you'd say that, Blake. I've always wanted to expose them publicly and defeat them in court," Uncle Jack admitted, just like Perry Mason. It amused me that even a seasoned lawyer like Uncle Jack had whimsical goals. We waited for the hearings, planned for 3 weeks, while Uncle Jack assiduously prepared his case. He warned us not to expose our trump card, the video, too soon to avoid the prosecution suppressing it. So, we kept it quiet until a week before the hearing. Uncle Jack returned to San Francisco for other obligations. During his absence, I received a call from the gatehouse guard alerting me that Tracy Ramsey claimed to be my wife. After visiting Uncle Jack, who encouraged me to stay calm and respectful, I waited for Tracy. I invited her in, despite my awareness of her toxic nature. I cleaned up the townhouse, then greeted Tracy at the door. Despite my worries, I couldn't help but admire her effort and appearance in a chic suit with modest makeup. "Come in, Tracy," I welcomed. "You look great." "Thanks, Blake," she replied. "You appear quite fit and handsome." "I've been using the exercise facility here regularly," I explained. "And I've been watching what I eat, generally focusing on fruits and vegetables and avoiding junk." I continued, "Please have a seat on the sofa. May I get you a glass of white wine?" I was attempting to be welcoming. When we returned from the kitchen with our beverages, I took a few sips before asking why she wanted to meet. "Despite everything, Blake, I still love you so much," she confessed. "I never expected things to get this bad." "I know what you wanted," I said. "You wanted me to accept Cross's lifestyle. It seemed easy enough. You could have been the cuckold. I could have had fun with Cross. We might have made a lot of money, and ultimately everything would have returned to normal," she explained. "I spoiled your plans," I replied sarcastically. "Actually, the plans were more Cross's doing. He believed he could intimidate you into going along," she admitted. "Neither of us anticipated you'd react this forcefully. It was unlike you, given how laid back and easygoing you typically are. I suppose that's why he thought I was simple to manipulate, I guessed." Tracy said, "You have no idea how scared I was when I saw how violent you became. It's a side of myself I've been trying to hide. It's remained hidden since I served as a Marine in the Middle East. That's not who I am today," I explained. Tracy asked unexpectedly, "Where's your car?" "I'm not sure. When Cross threatened to plant drugs in it, I took it seriously and had it transferred somewhere he couldn't find," I laughed. "About those men in the house when you moved back in, what were they up to? They seemed overly interested." "What about the garage and my missing car?" I inquired. Tracy grudgingly confessed, "I believe they wanted to place evidence in your automobile. I didn't want them to, but Stanley insisted we frame you. You don't seem to care about accumulating evidence against me. Your tale could send me to prison. If you truly love me, simply disclose the truth, and the DA will drop the charges," I pleaded. "I can't, Blake. I'm in too deep." "Stanley's too influential," she reasoned. "This sounds like terrible luck for me," I commented. Then I asked, "What's the charge of assaulting you? The photographs show you have wounds and bruises. I never touched you. It was Stanley's plan. He came up with an alternate version as soon as you stepped out. He claimed you accused us of having an affair, then they started hitting me. When he intervened, a brawl ensued. He claims you damaged his nose, blackened his eye, and shot Max before he could help." To make it credible, Tracy confessed, He hit me several times. "I'm sorry, Blake," Tracy sobbed. "I never wanted this. I just want things to return to how they were between us." "Well, that's not possible," I responded firmly. "There's a way out, Blake," Tracy stated earnestly. "Stanley knows about your heroic history and difficulties with PTSD. He expects you to plead guilty based on that. He claims he can use his connections to get you admitted to a VA hospital for treatment. After that, we could start over, just ourselves and the kids." So, there was her aim, to get me to take a plea bargain in exchange for a lesser sentence. I pretended to consider it. "Tracy, that sounds promising, but I need time to consider. I also need to discuss this with Uncle Jack. He hasn't had much success gathering proof to assist me." "Do it for yourself, Blake," she advocated. "For us and the children. It'll all be over in a few years." "I seriously doubt that," I replied. "You cheated on me, wanted me to accept your affair, threatened to take my children, and are now framing me. That's not just a stumbling block. That's why Stanley's offer is the perfect solution for everyone," Tracy insisted tearfully. "I'll think about it," I said, concluding the conversation. I suggested she leave, but she wanted to stay, suggesting we forget our difficulties for a bit. "Tracy, this isn't happening," I replied strongly. I held firm, and Tracy got the message. "Please consider Stanley's offer," she pleaded. I escorted her to the door. Before departing, she hugged me. It felt sincere, yet I didn't hug back. The hearing was to determine whether I'd stand trial. The prosecution appeared confident. They called Cross, Max, and Tracy to the stand, each repeating their scripted versions of events. Uncle Jack asked them just one question: "Do you swear your testimony is true?" They all affirmed. Uncle Jack sought to expose Jose and Miguel by establishing their involvement in framing me was unrelated to my allegations. Nonetheless, their endeavors failed. When the prosecution concluded, it was Uncle Jack's turn. He began, "With authorization from the court, we'd like to submit a video of the events. It confirms my client's innocence." The ADA objected, alleging the evidence was new. "There's a reason behind this," Uncle Jack revealed. "We're concerned about potential bias against my client." "Do you have evidence of bias?" the judge inquired. "It's in the video, Your Honor," Uncle Jack responded. The judge proposed reviewing it in chambers, but Uncle Jack declined. "Why not?" the judge commanded. "We don't trust the court's impartiality," Uncle Jack asserted. "Do you accuse the court of corruption?" the judge inquired, growing agitated. "Your Honor," Uncle Jack replied, "can you support your claim, or is that evidence included in the video?" "Yes, Your Honor, but I'd like to demonstrate what I mean if you could answer a few questions." "Let me get this straight, Mr. Carter. You feel that by asking me questions you can prove this court is prejudiced against your client. Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," Uncle Jack affirmed. "Okay, Mr. Carter, go ahead and ask your questions. But if you can't support your position, we'll study the tape in private and I'll decide if it's admissible." "I agree, Your Honor, but I must warn you that if this film isn't allowed in court and my client is convicted based on the prosecution's testimony, I'll release it to the public. Furthermore, the evidence in this video may cast doubt on your honesty for not presenting it in court." "I feel like I'm being threatened, Mr. Carter," the judge said. Without waiting for the judge to become enraged, Uncle Jack proceeded. "Your Honor, your oldest son attends college, correct? He's at the Air Force Academy, right?" "Yes," the judge responded. "He's a freshman." "Isn't it incredibly competitive to get into the Air Force Academy?" The judge confirmed. "First, your son needed to apply through a congressman or senator. Then he took the civil service exam. Based on that, he was nominated among 9 others. He then underwent medical examinations, fitness tests, and aptitude testing. He also had to take the SAT. Is this all correct, Your Honor?" "Yes," the judge replied. "He was a good student and a member of the high school swim team." "You should be proud of him, Your Honor," Uncle Jack acknowledged. "Get to the point, Mr. Carter," the judge advised. "Your son's application package contained 3 recommendation letters, correct?" "Yes, Mr. Carter." "Who wrote the letters?" "Your Honor." There was a pause. The judge then responded, "Mr. Stanley Cross gave my son an excellent reference for the Air Force Academy." "Mr. Cross must have known your son well, unless he made up details," Uncle Jack noticed. "During the summers of high school, my son interned in Mr. Cross's office. He wants to be a lawyer," the judge explained. "So, Mr. Cross is more of a professional acquaintance than a family friend," Uncle Jack clarified. "He's an acquaintance and colleague in some of the legal associations I belong to," the judge clarified. "Now, Your Honor, you may understand why the defense perceives your impartiality differently," Uncle Jack concluded. "You've questioned my integrity, Counselor. While any link with Mr. Cross would have no bearing on my decisions, you've made it a matter of perception," the judge said. After a brief pause, the judge looked up and spoke. "Play the video, Counselor." Uncle Jack signaled for the lights to dim and the screens to descend. He turned to me and murmured, "Here we go, Blake." Before the video began in court, the atmosphere was strained as Cross revealed his law enforcement ties, stunning the prosecution and leading an assistant aide to cry. Uncle Jack displayed a video of Cross, Max, and Tracy who tried to flee but were apprehended by the judge. After the first video, Uncle Jack instantly played a second one, taking everyone by surprise and displaying Tracy's unintentional admission, which was filmed on my hidden iPhone. This resulted in a recess, and the ADA reviewed the new evidence. When the court reconvened, 3 prosecution witnesses were conspicuously absent. Instead of a substitute district attorney, the county's current district attorney was present. He took no time in addressing the court. Firstly, he stated, "All charges against Mr. Ramsey have been dismissed. We believe he used self-defense against Mr. Cross and Mr. Angel. It was forceful, but it was deserved. Second, my office has filed arrest warrants for Mr. Stanley Cross, Mr. Max Angel, and Mrs. Blake Ramsey for a variety of charges, including conspiracy, perjury, making false statements, and obstruction of justice. Furthermore, Mr. Cross's attempted planting of false evidence against Mr. Ramsey has been discovered, with Mr. Angel and Mrs. Ramsey's involvement noted. We're also in the process of apprehending 2 people implicated in these attempts. Stanley Cross, Max Angel, and my wife were all arrested, but eventually released on bond." The district attorney was furious to learn Stanley Cross had been influencing his office for many years. He initiated an investigation to discover and remove any coworkers with potential Cross connections. All defendants were found guilty despite pleading innocence, except for Max and Tracy, who confessed against him. Cross received 11 years with a maximum of 7, and Tracy's 3 years were lowered from 5 after my testimony highlighted her warning about Cross's attack. Jose and Miguel obstructed justice and tampered with evidence, leading to their arrest for child pornography possession. Miguel confessed, and both were sentenced to lengthy prison terms. Cross is currently imprisoned in county jail while awaiting transfer to a state prison. Max and Tracy were given 2 weeks to settle their affairs before surrendering. Max prepares his family for his absence, aiming for parole in 4 years. Tracy, who received a reduced term, will serve her time in a rural jail annex set up by Uncle Jack. I let Tracy look after the kids while I was away. She took the opportunity to bond with them and explain her absence. Tracy requested I move in the day before her surrender. When I arrived, she greeted me saying, "This is your home," dressed casually but composedly. She stood at the door with a tiny bag, joking it included everything she needed. In the kitchen, Tracy had prepared a light breakfast. We discussed Lucy coming to take her to the sheriff's office at 11 a.m. She told me Lucy would assist with the children and persuaded me to accept her help. Tracy wanted me to settle in before the kids arrived home from school so their routine wouldn't be disrupted. She was hesitant about visits while in prison but vowed to write frequently and requested I have the children write to her as well. She'd packed all her belongings in plastic containers and stashed them in the basement. She placed a family photo in each child's room so they wouldn't forget her. Tracy added she'd ordered a new king-size bed for the master bedroom, along with fresh linens and blankets, which had recently arrived but gone unused. As she talked, tears welled up in her eyes. We hadn't shared our feelings until she began to clear the table. I told her to wait and suggested we go to the family room with our coffees. She glanced at her watch, knowing she didn't have much time left. Tracy appeared genuinely apologetic. She reminded me of the woman I married, not the one influenced by Stanley Cross. "Blake," she began, "I can't express how sorry I am for what I did and how I treated you. You were an incredible husband, parent, and provider. You were my best friend and an excellent companion. I forgot that until now. I accept full responsibility for my conduct, despite Stanley Cross's influence. I made the wrong decisions. I'm so ashamed it's hard to face you right now, not just for you but for our families, friends, and especially the kids. Part of me is relieved to be going somewhere I won't have to face you or see your disappointment. I know you won't forget, but I hope with time it'll fade and you'll forgive me. That's what I'm holding on to now." Tracy finished speaking and wiped her tears before standing in front of me to ask if I wanted more coffee. I grabbed her into a close hug. She cried, and we held each other until she relaxed. When Tracy heard Lucy's car honk, she knew she had to leave. After wiping away her tears, she grabbed her belongings and told me she loved me before leaving. I remained behind, sorting my items. A few hours later, Lucy called to express her support. I welcomed her company, knowing we needed to talk about raising my children together without their mother. I assumed the role of a single father, ensuring Tyler, Beth, and Emily were safe. Lucy was a great assistance. We waited about a month after taking on the role of mother to pay Tracy a visit. Lucy went first with the kids and returned excited to see Tracy. Lucy described a comfortable visiting space within the prison, which alleviated our concerns. Tracy was 3 months into her sentence when I paid her a visit. She seemed upbeat, particularly among the children, but still felt deep regret. During a visit, Tracy's friend Candy introduced herself. Candy, nicknamed Dummy for her choices, came to regret her deeds. After a year, Tracy may be eligible for release soon. Uncle Jack suggested she take online paralegal courses at the University of Virginia, a good career route. Tracy consented and enrolled, citing her legal background. Meanwhile, Lucy and I worked to locate Tracy a place to live after her release. We found a small 2-bedroom home with a carport near the courtroom and law offices in the city. We bought it, expecting Tracy would repay us later. Lucy brought her up alone on the day of her release due to paperwork. Tracy burst into tears of joy when they arrived at her new home. Her family was present to welcome her, as were Uncle Jack and his wife. The children gave her a tour of the house and prepared dinner on the balcony. Tracy expressed gratitude to everyone for welcoming her despite her past. Uncle Jack assisted her in setting up job interviews with several law firms, for which she was grateful. After Tracy settled down and began working at the law firm Uncle Jack recommended, she invited me over for dinner. She prepared my favorite supper, meatloaf with potatoes and peas. During supper, we avoided discussing the past and focused on the kids, work, and the weather. After supper, we proceeded to the family room, where Tracy played soothing background music from the music channel on the television. "I invited you over tonight, Blake," she began, "because I wanted to talk about us, or rather you and me. What do you believe will happen to us?" "I'm unsure what the future holds," I said. "I don't have a crystal ball, Tracy, but this is what I believe is most likely. We'll keep raising our kids as a team. They need you as much as they do me. Having you back home has lightened my load quite a bit. I now have some free time I didn't have before, and I'm sure you'll love having some alone time without the kids. In contrast to you, I've had a relatively active social life, nothing overly serious, but it's been good to go out to dinner or see a movie every now and then. I believe you'll appreciate being more socially involved after you've settled in." "Do you ever want to be with me again permanently?" Tracy inquired. "You mean getting married again?" "No," I replied. "I've been through too much to consider marrying you again, but I've moved on from what happened, and I'm looking forward to always being friends with no romantic attachment. That's as close as we'll ever get." Tracy looked down, tears welling in her eyes. "I didn't think so, but I needed to ask. I believe in the coming years I'll become more social and may even begin dating more seriously," I added. "I'll eventually find someone I love and ask her to marry me. She could be single, divorced, or widowed, with or without children, but I'll meet someone. The same goes for you. Once you settle into your new life, you'll likely find someone you can love. They'll probably ask you to marry them, but it doesn't mean we won't see each other frequently. We'll always have the children to bring us together. We'll be there for birthdays, holidays, and possibly even vacations. In the future, there will be graduations and weddings. That's all we can aspire to." "It's definitely more than I deserve," Tracy said sadly. "But I can accept that future. Before you leave, I want you to know how grateful I am for the way you've treated me since I returned home," she added. "You could have easily shut me out and kept the kids away from me, but you didn't. That's not who you are. It only makes me feel worse about what I tried to do to you." "You may not have noticed, Tracy, but I've forgiven you," I replied as I opened the door to go. "I harbor no grudges against you, and I hope you'll be able to forgive yourself with time." "Perhaps eventually, but not anytime soon," Tracy replied. We hugged each other and held on for several minutes without saying anything. Then I let go, stepped outside into the fresh air, located my car, and drove home without saying anything else.